attention, please. We're going to start the presentation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for everybody for showing up this morning. It's very exciting as our kickoff event for our year of kindness and compassion. And as you may have read, we have Megan Murphy from the Kindness Rocks Project here to tell her story and kick off our year of goodwill wishes. So here she is.
Hi there, thank you so much for joining me today. I just want to start with a little bit about myself. I drove up here this morning from Cape Cod, and so I have to tell you though, there's no better place that I would rather be than off Cape Cod right now and up here in Revere with all of you because, as you know, Cape Cod is a little bit crowded, and sometimes when we're around a lot of people, you know what happens? Anybody have a guess? Let me have you say that into the microphone.
They get cranky.
Oh, yes. One of the hardest things about navigating this life that we've all been gifted, and we've all been gifted this amazing life, is that we have human emotions, right? And being cranky is one of those human emotions, and we all do it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that today, because that's a little bit an important component to my topic about Kindness Rocks. So now some of you are here today, and you had no idea what Kindness Rocks are. I'm just going to keep walking around because there's some columns and I want everybody to be able to see. So Kindness Rocks is something I'm going to show a video, so it'll show you the humble beginnings of it. But I just want to share in my own words that today you're all going to be painting your own Kindness Rocks. But if you already started, stop! Because I have a whole process I'm going to walk you through into creating a Kindness Rock. And it's really important for you to understand that it's not simply painting a rock. This is just part of the process. So everybody stay tuned and stick with this technology because my clicker's not working, so I have to go over to my laptop and I have to keep pressing the arrow. But I want to start by sharing my story with all of you. So here goes.
My parents passed away when I was in my early 20s, so before I had no children. And so I would basically have conversations. You know, people would say conversations with God, I would say conversations with my mom and dad, and I'd be looking for signs and messages from them. It was a very introspective process for me. You know, I'd say, like, Mom, Dad, you know, send me a message or a sign that this is the right thing that I should be doing, or this is the direction I should be going. So, I had this whole system. A heart-shaped rock would be from my dad, and a piece of sea glass would be from my mom. And when I would find one, I would feel really like I was being supported and that that was the right decision and the direction to go in. And I would leave the beach that day and I'd think, wow, okay, I've got this, I can handle this. So yeah, those were the moments that I really felt something, you know, bigger than myself. But through this process, I realized that actually the answers lied within me. It wasn't like coming from someone outside. There were no messages from somebody else. It was, you know, something that I already knew. I started noticing other people that were walking. And I started noticing that they had the same expressions as I did on my face. That they were maybe introspective or looking for something, contemplating life. And I thought, And one day when I was leaving for my walk, there was a Sharpie on the counter, and I picked it up, and I was like,
Okay, sorry, I'm going to hold the microphone up to that because some of you are saying you can't hear, and I want you to be able to hear. So let's just pretend that didn't happen, and maybe we can dim the lights for a second. All right, sorry about that. This is what this project is all about. We all have an opportunity to start over again. So let's do that. Here we go. This is my story about starting the Kindness Rocks project.
parents passed away when I was in my early 20s, so before I had my children. And so I would basically have conversations. You know, people would say conversations with God, I would say conversations with my mom and dad, and I'd be looking for signs and messages from them. It was a very introspective process for me. You know, I'd say, like, Mom, Dad, you know, send me a message or a sign that this is the right thing that I should be doing, or this is the direction I should be going in. So, I had this whole system. A heart-shaped rock would be for my dad, and a piece of sea glass would be for my mom. And when I would find one, I would feel really like I was being supported and that was the right decision and the direction to go in. And I would leave the beach that day and I'd think, wow, okay, I've got this, I can handle this. So yeah, those were the moments that I really felt something, you know, bigger than myself. But through this process, I realized that actually the answers lied within me. It wasn't like coming from something outside. There were no messages from somebody else. It was, you know, something that I already knew. I started noticing other people that were walking. And I started noticing that they had the same expressions as I did on my face. That they were maybe introspective or looking for something, contemplating life. And I thought, huh. And one day when I was leaving for my walk, there was a Sharpie on the counter. And I picked it up and I was like, I stuck it in my pocket. And when I got to the beach, I looked around, like, to see if anybody was watching me. And I started writing messages on rocks. And, you know, I'm like dropping them and walking, you know, a ways and doing another one. And on the very first day, I only dropped 5 rocks. And I was like, the whole time, I'm like, what am I doing? You know, like, Mom and Dad, what am I doing? And interestingly enough, that night, a friend of mine texted me a picture of a rock she found on the beach. And there's millions of rocks. I mean, millions of rocks. There's no possible way that I dropped 5 rocks and that a friend of mine found one of those rocks and she picked it up and texted me. I didn't tell anybody I was doing it. I mean, that's really odd. Really odd. And I think maybe she might have recognized my handwriting and she knew I walked the beach every day at beach. So when she texted me the picture of it, I was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. That was not me. But that's really cool that somebody did that. And she replied, and this is when the project started. This was the absolute moment that it started, was when she said to me, if you did drop this rock, it made my day. I was having a rough day and the message just meant so much. And I thought, okay, I have something. Project. And, you know, it's a very vulnerable story. So I'm going to share a little bit more about this with you. I worked 15 years raising my children and raising a business. I opened a chain of fashion jewelry stores on Cape Cod. And it had always been a dream of mine to be an entrepreneur, but more importantly, a great role model for my 3 daughters. So for 15 years, I rushed from sporting event to school event to my job, which was raising, you know, my business and growing it. And people come from all around the world to Cape Cod, right, to vacation. And many of them came to my stores, and they bought fashion jewelry. And I was so happy because everything I sold was under $25, so I'm a big fan of a bargain. And so it made me feel like I was making a difference in the life of women, right? I was giving them fashion jewelry for really great price while they were on vacation, so it was part of their vacation memory. And I worked 15-hour days.
and my business became super successful. So you think I won the lottery, right? Everything that I had worked for, I achieved. But what happened was, as my business became more successful and the amount of stores that I had grew, I was feeling less and less happy. Now, that maybe some of you have had something similar happen. It's very challenging when you have a dream and you're achieving it, and the internal dialogue is this it? This isn't bringing me joy and happiness anymore. That's my story. And I had to make a decision because I needed to find what would make me happy. And it was a really hard decision to make, because if any of you have had to make a difficult decision like that you've invested so much time and energy and resources, and for me it was time away from my kids, right? But what happened is when we're unhappy on the inside, it comes out on the outside, right? We're short with people at the grocery store. Somebody cuts us off in traffic and we're like, "Arr!" We may snap at our friend or our spouse because we're just generally feeling unhappy for a million reasons. And we're living in a world that we all have a million reasons to be unhappy on any given day, right? Just turn on the news and that will make you unhappy. And so I had to make that choice. And so what happened was I wanted to be happy. I wanted to be nicer to those around me. And guess what I found out? That it all begins with being kind and nice to yourself, first and foremost. And so that's what we're all missing here, right? The missing piece is being kind to ourselves before we're kind to others. Because what all of us do is like, okay, I'm just going to go be kind. I'm going to volunteer. I'm going to hold the door. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that for other people. And I'm going to be happy as a result. But guess what? Sometimes you're going to hold the door for the person and they're going to ignore you. And then guess what you're going to do? Your mind's going to go, what the heck? You're welcome, right? Yeah, it's human nature. That's what we do. Or we might give and give and give, and we'll be the listening ear for everybody. But then when we need a listening ear, and we call those people that we've been, the ear for, they don't have time for us, and we're like, wait a minute. I'm the one who's been sitting and listening to you. And we get resentful. And it's okay. If you recognize yourself in any of these scenarios, give me a nod. There's a lot of us in here. Well, congratulations, because it just means that you are a human being. That's part of the human process. So, you know what? And part of this process is recognizing and admitting it. Okay, so we're here to paint rocks. But I'm going to go back and forth. I'm going to weave in a story. I'm going to weave in why we're painting rocks today. And I'm just going to share some little stories along the way. So in front of you, if you look at our screen here, everybody has this placemat in front of you. Okay? You're going to have two rocks. One rock is going to be already painted, and one rock is going to be not painted. And if you're missing any of these supplies in front of you, just give a wave, and some of our wonderful volunteers will come over and they'll get you what you need. You'll have a paintbrush. There also should be paint pens on every table. So if your table doesn't have any paint pens on it, they will come around and they'll bring you some paint pens, because that's going to be a very important component. Okay? So if your table doesn't have paint pens, just give a wave.
Thank you, honey.
I got one. A paint pen looks like a magic marker, but it's actually made of paint. So if your table doesn't have any, just raise your hand and they'll bring some over to you. So here's an example of a paint pen. We're going to show you guys.
I don't have one either.
This table has some. So you may get one that's thicker that looks like this. These are paint pens. They look like magic markers, and they're coming around with more for you. Now, one of the things I want to start about these paint pens is if you got one that's brand new, when you open up the top, you're going to see that the marker part is going to be white. It's not going to be the color of the pen. Just kind of tap it on your placemat, and then the ink will start to run into the pen. So they're going to bring around some more of these paint pens. Yes, we're going to do step by step, so hang in there with me. We're just making sure that everybody has their supplies. So they're going to come around with more pens.
None of us have one.
None of us.
They have plenty for everybody, so don't you fret. There should be, there's like 120 pens, so yeah.
Right.
Okay, you'll get a couple more, and then we can share these. So here's the thing. Part of kindness is sharing. So, we've had a really good turnout today here. I don't think they expected this many people coming to the event, which is a wonderful thing, because you know what that means? Everybody wants a little bit more kindness in their life. So that is a wonderful thing. So they're going to finish bringing around these supplies, and I'm going to continue with the presentation. Okay. So,
Got a green rock and a green pen.
that you all don't realize that there is a psychology behind colors. Yeah, so I'm going to share this with you guys today. And this is not necessarily for today. This is for, you're going to continue to paint kindness rocks because you're going to have a kindness rock garden here. So when you continue to paint rocks, I'm just going to share this with you because this is very helpful.
I know, I told you.
So blue, how many people love blue?
Judy will share.
Right? Blue is a wonderful color. So blue signifies serenity, calm, and peace. So those of you who are wearing blue today, guess what? You are an example of serenity and calm and peace. So how wonderful is that? And now if anybody's wearing orange, or you wanted to know what orange was, orange is excitement and enthusiasm. Purple, how many of you have purple on? Okay, so purple is creativity and imagination. So that's wonderful. And if you look at teal, which is kind of like a bluish green, some of your rocks are teal, that is for tranquility, good luck, and fortune. So if anybody's wearing teal today, you've got some good luck coming to you before the day ends. So, yay. And then finally, pink. Pink signifies love and nurturing and compassion. So any of you that are wearing pink, you are an example of love, nurturing, and compassion today. So this is in regards to rocks, but also when you're getting dressed in the morning, who wouldn't want to put on a blue shirt and feel peace and tranquility in your life? Okay, so, you have every color of the rainbow. Congratulations, you are everything encompassed. So now I just want to share about why my project has now gone global, and it's in 90 countries around the world. So the Kindness Rock Project, this can be found in 90 countries. So if you're in China, you can find a Kindness Rock. If you're in India, if you're in Mexico, I go to Kenya every year. If you're in Kenya, you will find Kindness Rocks. And I want to share with you why. Now this project has nothing to do with my exuberance or being anything special. I'm just a woman from Cape Cod who shares her vulnerable story, and it's relatable to everybody around the world because everybody has human emotions and everybody needs more kindness. So what happened was, for a year, I was anonymous. So this is me on my beach, and I planted a garden. And I was anonymous, so nobody knew that this was me that was painting these kindness rocks. But the thing is that they would see it on social media, and they would reach out to me and say, how do I do this in my community? I was on Cape Cod, and I saw these rocks, and it made me feel really happy. And so I shared with them, go back to your community, paint these rocks, and plant a garden. And that's why it has grown to where it is today. And so I travel the world, and I do this very talk about kindness and compassion. So, now, this is a funny story. So I have 3 daughters, as I've told you, and my middle daughter works for the United Nations. And I know, I don't look old enough to have a daughter that works at the United Nations. That's a joke. So she said to me one day, Mom, you do realize that what you're doing is really important, because there's this theory, don't you remember when you were in school? It's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so I said, of course I remember, which I didn't. So I Googled it, like we always do, right? And it turns out that there is a theory in psychology about human beings, right? So there's a pyramid, and you can see it on the screen here. So as human beings, we, to achieve our full potential as human beings, which is what we all want to do, there's a diagram of needs that we need to meet. So the first one are our physiological needs, right? That's like air. We need air. We need water and food. Those are the needs that we all need. And so we have those, or we wouldn't be here right now. And the other two components of that is sleep and community. So those are two important things. The next level is once you've achieved that, you've got your air, you've got your water, you've got your sleep, then we go into safety and security. When we all feel safe and secure, then we can go up to the next level. And this is where Kindness Rocks comes in. So this is a sense of love and belonging. Now, you guys live in a community here, and there's a sense of belonging to this community. And many of you may also belong to a church, or a club, or a family unit outside of here. Those are all communities that you belong with, right? So that's what we're doing with the Kindness Rocks Project, is we're trying to let human beings know that you're all part of a much bigger community, which is being a human being. And so if you zoom out from this community here, we're all connected. I may have never met any of you, but we are part of a community together. So we must love and take care of each other. So, okay. Here's 3 important questions that I asked myself, and I want you all to ask yourself. What is the need in my community? Again, is it in your family? Is it at your church? Is it here where you live? Is it for me, that question was in the world. What is the need in the world? And the answer that came up for me was, the world needs more love and kindness.
Yes.
All right, can I get an amen? Amen. But here's the thing about that. As one person, how do you make a difference? Right? So for me, that was so overwhelming. I'm walking on the beach and I'm like, oh, I just watched the news this morning. The world is so unkind. There's no peace. This is awful. What can I do? What can I do? I'm a woman walking on the beach on the Cape. I can't make an impact. Or can I? One of my favorite quotes to put on a rock is, heal yourself and you heal the world. I want to say that one more time. Heal yourself and you will heal the world. That is how we make an impact as one human being. And so the healing part is through kindness and self-compassion. So I gave up my business, and it was really challenging for me because it was super successful because I wasn't happy, and I started walking the beach. And that was when my healing process began. I didn't even know what I was healing from. I just knew that I was unhappy, and I had these bigger questions. So I asked myself, what is the need? More love and peace and kindness in the world. What do I know? I'm just one woman. And actually, I'm one woman who was actually a mess. Because I gave up my business and I was like in chaos. So I really had to get clear with myself. What do I know? Who am I? What can I do? And then the third question is, all right, how can I help? So these 3 questions you can ask yourself, not just in changing the world, But you can do it in any situation. If you're having a relationship issue, ask yourself these questions. Where's there a need? What do I know? How can I help? Boom, boom, boom. For whatever's happening in your life. If you can sit with those questions, you can be a solution for any problem. Okay? So that's a very important point for you all. Because look, now this is the work that I'm doing. My answer was to create more kindness in the world. Okay, now, we're going to get to the rocks. I know you're all looking at me. Like little kids. Have you ever seen on television, I don't know if any of you watch like funniest home videos, right? And so kids are sitting in front of their snacks, and the parents say, don't eat that snack. And the kids, all they want to do is eat that snack because the parents said that. I feel like you're all looking at these rocks like, I want to do this rock. So just bear with me, we're going to get there. Okay, if you look at my board, we have 5 different kindness rocks that I've created. Okay? I'm going to read them to you. So A is hang in there. B is you can and you will. C is you can do hard things. D is perhaps we should turn off the news and love our neighbors. And E is one day you will walk right over the things that used to make you trip. Now, what I want you all to do, everybody take a big deep breath. Everybody knows how to breathe, right? That was the beginning of Maslow's hierarchy. So everybody just kind of go, take a big deep breath in and exhale. And then I want you to just notice. What's going on with you? Maybe some of you are going through something difficult right now. Or maybe you just woke up sad and you have no idea why. Whatever's going on for you, if you were walking Revere Beach today and you stumbled across a kindness rock, which one of these rocks would make you feel better? How many of you would be A? Hang in there. Just raise your hand if A is the message that you would like to find today.
I'm in a program.
So everybody just keep your hands raised if A is the message that you want. Now I want you to look around the room at each other. Everybody with their hands raised. Just acknowledge each other. Give each other a wave. Hey, A's. Okay, now let's go over to B. You can and you will. How many people have B that resonates? Raise your hand. You can and you will. Look around at each other and give each other a wave. Wow, there's a lot of B's. Yeah, wow, okay. Now we're going to, and you know what? There's no one answer. If you have a couple, I'll allow you to raise your hand a couple of times. Now, number C is you can do hard things. How many of you would love to find that rock today? Me, every time I have to give a talk, I'm an introvert, which you can't tell when I'm on stage, but before I get on stage, I do this thing, like, oh, you can do it, you can do it. So my rock would be, you can do hard things. Okay, how about D? D is perhaps we should turn off the news and love our neighbors. How many of you resonate with that? Give each other a wave around the room, D's. Yes. Okay, I'm a D too. All right, now the last one is, one day you will walk right over the things that make you trip. Raise your hands. Okay. Now the reason, oh, you don't get that? Who wants me to describe it? Okay, so one day you will walk right over the things that used to make you trip. So it's like if something in your life happened, a difficult moment, and you got stuck in it, right? Because it was like a really difficult moment. The next time that something similar to that difficulty comes up, you're going to navigate right over it quicker because you've already been through it. So you already solved that problem. Thank you for asking that question. Okay, you can raise your hand at any time if you want to ask a question. Usually I save them to the end, but we're all a community, so we can yell it out and I'll answer it. Okay, so the reason why I do this with all of you is very important because I want you to realize that through that exercise, you're not alone. So I've been talking about community, right? So now everybody that raised their hand that was an A, you're also a sub-community of the larger community. So there's something that's going on in your life that you chose that uplifting message. So you're sharing the same human emotions as all the other people that chose that rock. Isn't that amazing? So now when you see each other in the hall after today, you can be like, hey, you were an A too. Like we're probably going through something similar. You want to talk? it's just a way to kind of get to know your neighbors and get to know that we all have human emotions that can be difficult at times. So we're going to be putting our own messages on the rock soon. But thank you for participating in that. Okay, I want to quickly go on to a message from the project. So I told you the project is now in 90 countries. Anytime that somebody, anywhere around the world, creates a kindness rock and they drop it somewhere, guess who gets an email about it or a social media post? Me. So I spend 90% of my day answering those emails and messages because I just want people to feel seen and heard. And so I'm on the other end of those emails and those messages, and they say, for example, I was having a really bad day. I was coming out of my cancer treatment center, and I found a rock, and it was uplifting, and it made me feel like I could go do these treatments because they're really difficult. Or, you're never going to believe it, I lost my son to suicide last month, and I found a rock with his favorite sentiment on it. And so I am the human being on the other side that picks up those messages, and I let them know that someone's here to hear them and understands, and that it's okay, and that, everything will be okay, and sometimes I have to point people in the direction of getting some help. But here's an example. There's a woman, her name is Bex Hall, and she needed a transplant, and she was at the University of Kentucky Transplant Center, and she was ready to give in the towel. She had been on a list for a transplant for many years, and she got sicker and sicker and sicker. And as she was in the bathroom, how many of you have been in the bathroom at a hospital? Right? It's just very sterile. There's nothing but a sink, right? She was staring at herself in the mirror, splashing water on her face, crying. And she looked down on the sink, and this is the rock that she found. Don't ever give up. Now, how can a rock be placed in a hospital, on a sink, in a room, with that uplifting message? Because we all know how sterile hospitals are, right? This was a blessing. And Bex saw this as a sign to keep fighting, and guess what? She got that transplant, and now she paints rocks, and she's an artist, and she's just so grateful. So I think there's blessings all around us. So I wanted to share Bex's story with you. The next one I want to share is, this is Lieutenant Hargrave. He was stationed in Kuwait, and back home his mother painted rocks, right, as a hobby. So he's over in Kuwait now with all of his troop mates, and he noticed that it was really brown, kind of like it is now because of the drought. And everybody was down, and they were missing home. And so he had seen the rocks before he went abroad, and so what he did was he put a sign out on social media and said, hey, anybody back home, could you paint some rocks and mail it to us in Kuwait? I mean, imagine that. And look at the amount of rocks that they received. Thousands and thousands of kindness rocks painted. And they were like hugs from people at home. And he told me that the troop members could not wait to go to the mailroom to get these rocks. To me, this is just love in a picture. So that was something I really wanted to share with you, because you never know. Each one of these rocks that was painted uplifted one of our troop members. The next story, and one of the final stories, is Marjorie Stoneman Douglas School. We've all seen in the news all of the school shootings, and it's tragic. I received a message, I told you I sit behind social media, from the 911 caller from the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas School back in 2014. And she said to me, we're devastated. We've lost 17 students in a senseless shooting. Can you come down to our school and paint with the students to help them heal? So on the 1-year anniversary, I flew down to Parkland, Florida, and I sat with the students, and we painted rocks. Look at these rocks. So it's a very healing thing to paint these rocks. And I'm going to go through the process with you. It will heal you, but I want to show you the global impact that it heals beyond, so that you understand the scope of this. Okay? So they continue to paint rocks down there. Unfortunately, they've had a lot of suicides in their community by young people because of the devastation of this shooting. So I just wanted to share this with you, and I've gone back twice now to sit and paint with the students, the very process that I'm going to teach you. Finally, this is the final story, this is an example of one of the messages that I received. I thought it was important to show you. So if you were looking at my screen on my phone, this is, on any given day, this is one of the messages. It says, "Hi, I'm dealing with so much in my life, and I just thought I wasn't strong anymore. On my walk this morning, I found your rock that made me feel stronger." And so I just simply respond to that. It's that important. If someone stops you in the hall here and says, "Hey, do you have a minute?" Take that minute. None of us know what anybody else is dealing with on any given day. We need to be there for one another. Okay. Let's paint kindness rocks. Who's ready? Yay! Okay, let's do it. All right, so this is where we're going to have fun. But guess what? There's a process, people. So, I'm also a mindfulness instructor. How many of you have ever practiced meditation? Raise your hand. How many of you are think meditation is terrifying and you could never sit and close your mind? Anybody? Yeah, because that's a thing too. Okay, so you are all going to do a mindfulness experience. So I want everybody to just, again, take a deep breath with me. Breathe in. Let it go. And I want you to just recognize again, maybe you have a thought in your head. Maybe you have an emotion that's coming up. It could be joy or sadness or grief or whatever that is. Just let it be there. The O for rock. So if you can see, this is an acronym, right? Pretty clever, right? ROCKS. Okay, so always just observe. So whatever feeling, emotion, or thought that you have in your mind right now, let it be. Like the Beatles said, let it be, let it be. I'm just not gifted with a singing skill, but just let that be, people, okay? Don't judge yourself. I'm going to give you a fact. We, as human beings, have 60,000 thoughts a day. 60,000. Imagine, we are like computers on overload, but guess what? 80% of those thoughts are negative biased. So 80% of those 60,000 thoughts are like, you're not good enough, you can't do this, look what you did, right? So you have these thoughts, and you have these thoughts, and you have these thoughts. You know how Oprah goes, and you get a car, and you get a car. We all have these thoughts. So if you have any negative self-talk, just know that we all do. You're part of that community. Okay, so C, this is where the magic happens, people. This is compassion, but it starts with self-compassion, right? I talked about this before. So self-compassion is self-kindness. So whatever thoughts you have in your head, whatever's going on in the world, just say to yourself, it's okay. You are all right. One of the tips that I do is every morning I say to myself, I am blessed. I am grateful. I'm inspiring. I'm pretty amazing. You are. You need to have that negative self-talk switch to compassion. So the kind words that you would say to somebody else, say them to yourself every day.
You have to love yourself.
Say that loud.
You have to love yourself.
Yes! That was a tweetable moment. You have to love yourself. Thank you. First and foremost, we have to love ourselves. So the kind words that if I were to say, you look so beautiful today, I love your smile, I love your energy, we need to say that to ourselves, okay? And then, once we learn it for ourselves, we recognize that need in others. So that's it. This is the key to life, people. So I need to say it one more time. If you don't practice self-kindness and self-love and self-compassion, you won't recognize that need in others. So that person that lives next door to you, you won't recognize it in them because you don't see that in yourself. This is the key to life. Can you believe it? Yeah, it starts with self-love and self-compassion. So I'm going to say it one more time because this is so important. Unless we have self-love and self-kindness and self-compassion, we will not see it in those that are sitting at our table.
I love you, Judy.
Oh, I love that. Okay,
You're such a
so
good person.
that's the scene. We're moving on to the rocks. I promise you, but I just I need to nail this down for you all. Okay, K is kindness. There's all sorts of studies that show that when you do something kind for somebody else, it makes you feel better. And then S is service and community, which we talked about, is that we're all here on this planet and that we are here for a reason. We need to make the world a better place than we found it. That is our job as a human being. Okay, so, everybody, you have two rocks. One rock is dried and painted, the other one is not. Take your rock that is not painted, take your paintbrush, and go into the paint that you have on your table, and you can paint the rock that is not currently painted any color that you want. So just paint that gray rock, whatever you want, and you can chat with each other while you're painting that rock.
Yeah, but what's in there?
And you can just let it dry on your placemat, and then we'll move on to the second part. But just paint that gray rock that you have, and you can chat with one another over that.
I can't get her.
I think we need water.
Yeah, we need water.
We need water.
You can
Is it blue space, you said?
Oh, the rest.
Oh, what a sweet girl. See, she's practicing.
All right, now what colors? Here are the colors. I got it.
Oh, these are all the colors.
These are the colors.
Now, if you get fancy, you can also use other paint brushes, and you can add multiple colors. That's up to you. Just paint that gray rock however you want.
This rock, the gray rock.
The gray rock,
That
yes?
I used to do some.
Okay, I can't see the colors.
Okay, let me tell you what
This is what is
red, white, purple, green, and yellow.
Okay, once your gray rock is painted, just like give me a nod so that I know I can move on to the rock that's already been painted that's dry. So when you guys are there, just give me like a wave and then I'll know that I can move on to the next rock.
Well, no, because she only did.
Just the top, right?
Yeah, we just do the top of the rock, right?
Okay.
We do the top.
Just the top, yeah.
Yeah, and that is a very good question. You're just going to do one side of that rock. You don't have to do two sides, just the top of the rock. Yep, and just paint it and let it dry. Let it sit there. Let your rock just be. Wonderful. Now, just a curiosity, how many of you have ever painted a rock before? Raise your hand. Ah, we have a few rock painters. Wonderful. How many of you have ever found a kindness rock somewhere? Yes, okay. All right, so I'm going to move on. It's okay if you're still painting your gray rock. Just listen up for a minute because this is going to be the next instructions. So the next instructions that I have for
we
you
have a cloth so that we can change colors.
is that we are going to write a message on our dry painted rock. So if you have a rock that was already pre-painted on your table, and it's dry, so you each should have gotten one of those, I want you to take that rock and I want you to stick it on the left-hand side of your placemat. So see the left-hand side of your placemat, stick that dry rock on there. And then I want you to take one of your pens, whether it be a paint pen or just if you have a regular pen, and I just want you to outline the rock, right? So take a pen and just, so just outline on the piece of paper the rock. So you can use a paint pen or you can use a regular pen. And the reason why we're doing that, so you're just going to stick your rock on this here, and then you're going to outline it on the paper. So you're basically, you're drawing the outline of the rock on the paper. Does anybody need help with that? So you're just going to take your rock, stick it there, and then outline on the paper. Yeah. And the reason that we're doing that is because we're going to design our rock.
Are we painting it?
So just stick here and then go like this on the piece of paper so you have the shape. Okay. Anybody need help with the outlining of the rock? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you did that right. Yeah, just raise your hand if you need some help with it. Perfect. Wonderful. Just outline your rock on the paper. So take the dry one, just so that you know you can outline this on the paper. The dry rock. Just like take a pencil, for example. Okay, so everybody got their rock outlined on their paper? Yep. Okay. So the reason why we did this is in case you have something really big to say. Like some of you are going to come up with a message. As I showed you before, some of them are like, today's a great day. Or it might be happy. Or it might be something longer. You might have a longer message you want to share. And if you've never painted a rock before, you don't have a lot of space, right? Rocks are small, so you're gonna need to know what you're working with space. So now, think about the message. So you go like this.
Are you using the original rock that we got here for outlining when it was already done?
Yes, that's what you said to do. Because that's dry.
Right.
What we did was say that the rock painting is rock something.
Right.
Okay, so everybody has their outline rock on their piece of paper. Okay, so now I want you to go back through that process that I showed you, which is the acronym of ROCKS. So here we go. R, recognize, whatever's going on for you. I want you to write a message, a kind message, with your paint pens on that dry rock on your placemat that you outlined to practice first. I want you to write the message that you would like to find yourself for whatever's going on today. And here's a little bit of a tip. Everybody here has received a card in front of them, which is a kindness rock. That's your personal message, but that can be an example of a message you can put on a rock. So everybody got a square card that already has a message on it, so you can either copy that or you can write whichever message that you want on your rock. And if you didn't get one of the square rock messages, let me know. Okay, and if you have a question, just raise your hand and I'll come by.
But I did write. I want to keep it here.
Okay, so
Yes, you may.
So once you've written your message on your placemat, so that you can spatially design your letters and whatever message you want, go ahead and transfer that onto your dry rock that you outlined with a paint pen. So take your paint pen and your rock, and you can put that message that you put on your paste map directly on your rock. Okay, so now you can put that message on the rock, and you should know how much space you have now because you gave it a go before. And again, whatever message that you would like to find yourself, put on that rock. Anybody have any questions for me? Yes?
Where did you write your message? I got the box. I don't think I know things to
Does
write.
anyone need a hand?
Yes, where do we write the message?
So you did. You're writing it on the dry rock. She was saying we could have written it on the paper just to see how you wanted to space it first, but you didn't need to because you fit everything.
Okay, if anybody has any questions, just raise your hand and I'll help you. Yes.
So I want to write on this one, right?
Yup, on the dry one. Yup, you can write anywhere you like. And if you want another color, I have some too. Up to you.
I'm going to try this.
Yeah, that's great. Another silver?
Okay, anybody else have any questions? And I will come on over. Yes?
Oh, you're so good. You know what you write.
I love her.
I know we can follow the again.
No, my daughter's coming Friday,
Get you different bed.
and she's going to take this bandage off. And she knows what.
Everybody know what they're writing?
I'm trying to think of what to write on here.
Yeah.
All right, does anybody want to share with me their message that they wrote so I can share it with the group? Oh, look at that. I love you're so proud. I love it. What is your message?
Yes, I can.
Yes, I can. Oh, I love it. How many of you would like to find a message that says, yes, I can? Me? Yes, absolutely. Yes. Be humble and kind. I love that. What a wonderful message. Thank you. Let's see. Who else wants to share their messages? Oh, here I come.
Together we can make it.
Together we can make it. Oh, I love that.
Is in love.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Yes. Just smile. I love that. I love that. What's yours?
Love is forever.
Love is forever. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Let it go.
I love it. Let it go. Yes. Everybody can applaud if you like what people wrote. Yes.
Not negative.
Always be positive, not negative. I love it. Count your blessings. Oh, smile. It's okay. That's a universal language. So maybe that's by more than one person. Yes, what's your... Don't quit. How many of you would like to find the message that says don't quit? Me? Yes, what about yours?
Be kind and be happy.
Be kind and be happy. I love that. I love that. Anybody else want to share a message? Oh, here I come. I'm getting my steps in for the day. This is wonderful. I missed my beach walk, but I get to get my steps in. Yes. Remember, we are all related. That is very wise. I love that. Thank you. I love that message. Anybody else want to share their message? Not yet. Okay. Anybody over here? Anybody have the urge to share their message? Okay. Yes. What is yours?
Be grateful. I am enough.
Oh, I love those. Those are two messages that I would love to find. Thank you. How about you? I love it. I love it. How about you? love that. Sometimes one word is very powerful. Yes, here we go.
Growing gratitude becomes kindness.
If everybody can just be quiet for 1 second. We want to hear this. Okay.
Growing gratitude becomes kindness.
Growing gratitude becomes kindness. I love that. That's wonderful. Yes.
Be kind, be generous, be loyal. You reap what you sow.
I love that. And you got all that on the rock. That's amazing. I think that's amazing that you got that on there.
If light is in your heart, you will find your way home.
Oh, if light is in your heart, you will find your way home. Love is a many splendid thing. I love it. You know, sometimes song lyrics are really great things to put on rocks as well. Do you have one?
Listen and hear.
Listen and hear. I love that. Sometimes the greatest gift of kindness that we can give to somebody else is to just be a listening ear for them. Yes?
One day at a time.
One day at a time. You've got this. I love it. Oh, what a great gift. That is lovely. Thank you. Yes.
What do you want to write?
Love it. Thank you so much. What about you?
The world needs more love and be kind and
I
trust.
can't get it.
I love it. These are all amazing messages.
I'm going to write the word
So,
here.
okay, can I get everybody's attention again? Oh my goodness, I am overwhelmed.
Let me try it.
All right, can I get everybody's attention
I
for a
can write
second?
on it.
I am overwhelmed at the kind messages that you guys have
On
shared.
this side.
And I have a special announcement. So listen up, this is important. I am so inspired by the messages that you guys are creating today. And something has just happened that if you want, you can be a part of it. So remember I told you about my 3 questions? What is the need? What do I know? And how can I help? So there was something that was missing for me in the project. It's so wonderful, and what's going to happen with your rocks is that the staff here is going to steal your rocks so that when they go out to a garden that you guys are going to be planting, a kindness garden, so whenever you're out in the courtyard, you can go over to the kindness garden, you can reflect on everybody else's messages, you can take one, or you can leave one, you can start painting rocks yourself, and you can start adding to it. But one of the things that, for me, with this project that was missing was the human connection component. So it's really lovely to leave these messages and put them out there, but I said to myself, okay, I'm missing the human element, so I just started a new addition to the project, which is called the Human Kindness Rock. So the idea is that I started going up to people on the streets of New York City, because that's where my daughters live, and I hand them one of my kindness rocks, and I say, hi there, I'd like to give you this kindness rock. And they say, oh my goodness, thank you. And then I say, if you had a kind message that you would like to share with the world, what would that message be? So imagine that I came up to you on the streets of New York City and said that. What would your answer be? What would your answer be?
Be kind to everyone.
Be kind to everyone. I love that. So what I'm going to do is, after my presentation, I am going to be over to the side. If anybody would like to be a part of that, I will just film you and I'll ask you if you have a kind message that you want to share with the world, and then I will put that on the page, the social media page, the Human Kindness Rock, so that people will pick up your human message if you want to be a part of it. This is only if it's an option that you want to participate in that. It's kind of like what you're doing now, just sharing your messages as another human being. Okay, so we've shared our messages with one another. Now I want to go back into something that's also very important, and this is the end of the presentation. So I talked about the S in rocks being service.
Share your love.
So the other community that we belong to is human beings on planet Earth. And you so eloquently, your rock, stated that. So, we are all here in this lifetime together at the same time. Some of us have come and gone. Some of us will be here for a short time and then we'll leave. We never know the length of time that we're going to be here. And so, we've been gifted this life for a reason. It's because we are to make this world a better place just by being in it. That's why we're all given life. That's why we're here. And so, service. Today we're talking about community service through painting kindness rocks to let others know that you care. But service can be a million different things. Service can be mentoring a younger person, sharing your wisdom with them. Service can be holding the door for somebody. Service can be sitting and simply listening to somebody. So I have another acronym because it makes it easier. When I was in school, when you had to memorize everything, I loved making acronyms because it made it easy. So back to safety and security. That's the essence in service. We all want to feel safe and secure, and when we are taking care of each other, that's what we're giving each other. E is expression. We are all individuals and are looking to express ourselves. We are individuals. We are special diamonds in the rough. We are rare. We are like nobody else. And you know what? Fortunately, us older folks, we figure that out. It takes us a long time because we try and fit in with everybody else when we're young kids. But as we get older, we realize, oh my gosh, if I had only known this when I was a teenager, that being different is our gift. That is our specialness. The R is recognition. We all like to be recognized for whatever, right? For being a good person, for knowing something, for doing something good. We all are looking for recognition. V is validation. Validating somebody, letting them know that they're good at something. I is inspiration. I don't know about you, but I look for the inspiration in everything. Even in life's difficult moments, what is the lesson in this? What is the inspiration in this that's going to get me, move me forward? C is community. We talked a lot about community. I want you, when you leave today, to think about all the communities you belong to, right? Your community here, your community in your family, and so on and so forth. And E is equality. None of us, although the world and the news may tell you that there's a hierarchy, right? That some people are more important than other people. I'm here to tell you that none of us are more important than anybody else. It doesn't matter if you're a movie star. It doesn't matter if you were Mother Teresa. It doesn't matter if you are a homeless person on the streets of New York City. We all matter. Each one of us matters. If there's a takeaway today, I want you to recognize that in one another and respect one another. So that's what service is all about.